The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. This for UFC D.C. Washington, D.C.
Washington.
All right, check one. Video is on.
Yeah.
Check two. Graphics have been made.
Your
Not
mic
for the
is on?
entire card.
Is your mic on, Paul?
Yes. I'm pretty sure.
Is my mic on, Paul?
Yeah.
Are we live right now, Paul?
We'll find out.
Oh, okay.
We'll find out afterwards.
Excellent.
Cody Saftic is obviously here in studio after the two-week hiatus. We're back. It's a card. It's not the best card. Next week's card is like...
This is the appetizer for next week.
This is, just a
mozzarella
little
sticks.
taste.
Yeah.
Little taste.
Little chicken tendies on the table.
But yeah, before we get to that, giveaways. Obviously, there was actually no giveaway last week or
the week
2 weeks
before,
ago because I
won
screwed up and didn't put anything on my mic and then just released it as an audio podcast. I guess some people said that the audio wasn't that bad, but I guess there's a little bit of it's a thing where it's just like,
You owe the people $20 DK, pal.
I mean, we've been giving away so many DK dollars.
And in all fairness, it's like it shouldn't really be your responsibility to produce and direct the show while also starring in said show. But hopefully we have an intern starting in the next little bit. So something to look forward to in the new year, Paul.
Yeah, the Zach Attack.
Zach Attack.
Zach Attack
Wacky
is on.
Zachy.
He will
Miss
be
Chad, but Zach got to step up now.
He will be stepping up and in to help us with all of the directorial duties and stuff like that. Probably in the new year. I think his schedule is a little bit dicey with when we decide to record this, but that's besides the point. If you want to get into a draw for $20 DK dollars this week, tell me and Cody in the comment section. So you give the episode a like, leave your DK handle, and then say which fight on this card you are most looking forward to outside of the main event. Because I'm sure everyone wants, main event between Alistair Overeem and Jairzinho Rozenstruik is like...
It's got excitement written on it.
Someone's getting hurt. Somebody's getting hurt, and it's going to be a good time, at least for us. But
hopefully, if we're on the right side of it, this is fucking dicey, which we'll get to in a minute.
Oh yeah, I'm like look in the timestamps. We'll get to the Draftkings pricing and all of that type of stuff at the end of the episode. We're just gonna go through and make our picks before we do any of that. But before we get to that, Alistair Overeem takes on Jairzinho Rozenstruik in the main event of UFC D.C. Overeem minus 120 favorite. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is plus 100. Pick 'em fight, heavyweight fight. Mm-hmm. Overeem has all of the experience in the world. He's fought in Pride. He's fought in Strikeforce. He's killed Brock Lesnar.
K1 champion.
Overeem is the more well-rounded fighter.
No doubt.
By leaps and bounds. But what I told you last time, my boy Jairzinho went out.
I know.
You
did tell me.
This guy's got the death touch, man. And you know who struggles against guys with the death touch? Guys who have been down this exact same path before. I'm not saying that he's Ngannou, but I'm saying that he's getting put on the same path as Ngannou. Give him Arlovsky, give him Overeem. You knock out both of those guys, then we have a new heavyweight contender in the mix that they can kind of, they can put into some main event spots, that type of thing. I keep wanting to trust Alistair Overeem here. I don't know if I'm going to actually bet this. It's heavyweights, man, and it's priced appropriately. I could totally see Alistair Overeem taking Rozenstruik down, exploiting him there. Nobody's been able to do that yet, but that's because he hasn't really taken on anybody that has that skill set to do it. But if he just eats one clean one really and then is having a canvas nap, I'm not going to be shocked. Right now, my pick is Overeem. On Draftkings at the end of the show, we'll talk about it. You're going to need one of these guys. I would very much imagine. Like the over-under total is a pick'em basically at 1.5 rounds for it to go over. So it's like somebody's probably getting a first round finish or at least a second round finish. Like this is probably not going 5 rounds. You're gonna need you're gonna need the guy if you're doing lots of lineups. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Overeem is the pick for the purposes of this show. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Overeem, for as shaky as he is, he does got all the skills in the world. And we keep talking about he probably needs to take this fight to the ground. He probably needs to exploit the shaky ground game of Yorozino. He probably needs to do all this stuff. He can actually beat Yorozino in a striking match. The problem is, it's like, ooh, how long do you want to try to play that game with Rozenstruik before you're done? Before
we had this discussion against Ngannou. Same thing.
Yeah. And with Ngannou, it's the same thing. It's just like, you know what? You are a former K1 champion. You are a decorated kickboxer. You could defeat this guy in a kickboxing match. At the same time, this is heavyweights. It's not even just like this guy's got to get a ton of power. It's like everybody's got a ton of power. And Alistair Overeem's a guy with a ton of knockout losses on his record. Now, Arlovsky, here's a guy with a ton of knockout losses on his record, figured out a way to adapt his game to avoid getting hit and avoid getting knocked out. Unfortunately, when you run into a touch of death, glancing blows are enough to knock you the fuck out. So now you're playing with a different type of fire. And in this case, he's dealing with the same thing. He's got to exploit that ground game. He's got to do that. But I have a feeling that is the game plan. He is very much someone who's aware of the same things we're talking about. This guy's a heavy power puncher. He's 8 years younger than me. And yeah, I'm not 2008 Alistair Overeem eating horse meat K1 champion. I'm 11 years removed from my K1 title fighting in the UFC, 2-fight winning streak. But at the same time, like, I have seen better days. I'm 39 years old. I've got to be smart here. I think he will be smart. I think he'll take this fight to the ground and beat him up there. Where you say nobody's done this before, it's like we did see him slightly exploited a little bit when he was fighting in Ryzen over in Japan, but more so than that, Junior Albini was taking this guy down at will.
That guy wears a fucking diaper.
Yeah, and very similar to most Albini performances. At some point, he just shits the bed, can't hold him down, gets back up. Similar to, remember when Ngannou made his debut, and it was just like, oh man, this Brazilian guy's got some wrestling, be able to take him down. It's just like, yeah, maybe, but can he hold him down? Because if he can't, he's in a lot of trouble. If Overeem gets you down, he's got nasty ground and pound. And above all else, he's actually got a pretty good submission game. He's really good at holding guys down. And if he can just tire down Rozenstruik a little bit, yeah, who knows? Maybe the longer this goes, it's not going 5. I don't think it's going 5. But I think Overeem's smart enough to realize I don't got to beat this guy in the first round. I could maybe drag him into 2 and 3, tire him out. Yes, I got to get takedowns. I got to, stay at range. But when he fought Junior Dos Santos, do I want to strike with Junior Dos Santos? No. Can I take Junior Dos Santos down? Yeah, it's going to be tough. Stay at distance. Let him make the moves. So that's one thing I really noticed in Rozenstruik's last couple of fights. Is like Alan Crowder, that's Alan Crowder. He touches him, he goes down. But what happened in the Arlovsky fight? Arlovsky decides to charge at this guy, straight on the line, doesn't move his head, throws a 3-piece combination, all of which pull up short, and he just gets touched the one time and he falls over. But Alistair Overeem doesn't do that. He's not going to charge for it. He charges forward if he's got you hurt. He charges you forward back in the day when he was chomping at the bit, let me get at him. But now he's a lot more reserved. He's a counter striker. So he's going to need Rozenstruik to be the guy moving forward. If Rozenstruik's moving forward, Overeem's counterpunching. That's Overeem's game. If Rozenstruik's not moving forward, Overeem's okay standing back and just throwing kicks. And the longer that Rozenstruik is not doing anything, eventually Overeem's got to set up this takedown. But I'm not one of these guys that's like live or die by like, oh, dude, if he doesn't get the takedown, he's fucked. If he gets punched one time, he's fucked. But you have to factor in that you have a guy that's got a track record.
Alistair does seem to have a lot more paths to victory here.
He's a much more well-rounded mixed martial artist.
Rozenstruik's path is just lights out, game over. Yeah. It's if he wins this fight, it's going to be very, very convincing.
Yeah. And listen, Overeem has struggled with guys like Alexei Olenek in spots where it's like Olenek is 40 plus and just winging bombs and you're having trouble. Like, you should just be cruising on these guys. But look at that Sergey Pavlovich fight. He's a plus 105 underdog in the Pavlovich fight. 2-fight losing streak. Pavlovich is undefeated, Russian guy, built up, a lot of quick finishes. It's easy to get behind him and discredit Overeem. But Overeem, he looked good in that fight, actually. Coming to this, it's like, you know how it is, man. We've been around this game long enough that you get 3 knockouts like Rozenstruik, you're the man now. He's headlining a card in D.C. And the talk is, this guy goes out and knocks out Alistair Overeem. We've got a title contender. We got somebody that can realistically maybe, Ngannou's going to fight for the belt next, obviously, Stipe DC 3, and then we'll go Ngannou, and then we got a guy waiting in the wings that might be a win away here, but a win over Alistair Overeem solidifies him. But Alistair Overeem, he's gatekeeper now. He's 39. Even though he's on a 2-fight winning streak, he's a mid-pack guy, can't take a punch anymore, can't fight the elite level. Like, there's a narrative that's being written here, but based on what? Like, what's Rozenstruik realistically showing you? Peter Arlovsky, who, by the way, Alistair Overeem has, like, it's not the biggest thing in the world. He beat Alan Crowder and Junior Albini. Like, these are guys that Overeem would look spectacular against him as well. So the hype is not warranted quite yet. You go out and you knock out Overeem, that's big. You go out with a follow-up performance, you beat another top 5, top 10 heavyweight, that's big. Then you solidify yourself. But let's remind you, everybody, when he comes to the UFC here, he's 30 years old, he's got an established kickboxing career, and he's undefeated in MMA. And we all tape studied him. He was no good. He did not look good. But he fought Junior Albini, who despite taking him down a bunch, he beats. Then he fights Alan Crowder. Alan Crowder, Paul. And he beats him. Arlovsky's at least a name, but you see what I mean? It's like there's just not enough from Rozenstruik. So listen, I think it's a 50-50 fight, and I want to take dog or pass, but there's no real dog. So I think Alistair Overeem should be probably a bigger favorite than 120. He's the guy that I would go with. Am I certain of this one? No. Am I super confident? No. But yeah, you got to go with one side of this, especially at the end of the show when we talk about Draftkings, because the winner of this fight is going to probably score very large and be on the winning lineup, but I'm going to have to go with Overeem.
Co-main event, we've got Marina Rodriguez taking on Cynthia Calvillo. Marina Rodriguez is a minus 130 favorite coming off of a win over Tisha Torres. Cynthia Calvillo can be had a 4+ 110. Here's the, I'm always like the guy on this show who always says like, oh, you got to, you got to watch the weigh-ins and stuff. That's not relevant when it comes to Cynthia Calvillo. She burned me good when she came in looking like death and still managed to pull off the win. Rodriguez, it's a good win over Tisha Torres. That's a top 10 caliber or top 5, top 10 for sure caliber type of opponent. It was kind of a predictably boring, slow-paced type of striking affair, but that's how every Tisha Torres fight is. And just to win at her game is pretty good. Calvillo, I struggle with her because she comes from the gym where it's just like, oh, they've all got wrestling and so on and so forth. But it's like, at the end of the day, this girl is not like a collegiate wrestler. This girl was a waitress at a cheesecake factory before doing this. I'm sure she's improved her wrestling, but like she doesn't have that pedigree or anything like that. I don't think that she's exceptional. Honestly, I think Marina Rodriguez can do enough on the feet, keep it away from the mat, and outpoint Cynthia Calvillo on the feet here to a decision. Minus 130. Don't hate it. It's a little bit early in the week. I'm not going to be placing a bet on it. I don't love it, but Marina Rodriguez is the pick for me. What about you? Yeah.
It's a hard pass for me, but I think I'm going to have to start with Marina Rodriguez. Cynthia Calvillo was originally preparing for Claudia Gadelha in this spot. So she's getting a full camp and was preparing for not an elite competitor these days, but a big name competitor, a former could have been champion, somebody who's got some status in the division. So I think she's going to be well prepared for this, whereas Marina Rodriguez is coming in on like 2 weeks notice, replacing her. She's going to have... Yeah, I see why it's minus 130. I see why it's a close fight, but I would want a better price on Marina Rodriguez to pull the trigger on her, even though she's my pick. Gonna have to hit the pass on this. The issue with Cynthia Calvillo is, just like you mentioned, she doesn't have that pedigree that she comes from it. She's a hard worker. She's improved a lot. Apparently, she's like one of the striking coaches, I guess, at Team Alpha Male now. Like, showing people combinations. Like, she's worked on her striking lots. She's worked on her wrestling lots. But very important to note, she's 32 years old. This is not some prospect that came out of nowhere. This is somebody that got a late start to it, got it on, got a good little run going, beat Joanne Calderwood. And then it's that fight with Carla Esparza. Here's a crossroads here. We got Cynthia Calvillo, who's undefeated, looks like she's a prospect in the making. She's got the goods here. Team Alpha Male. She's on a winning streak. Just beat Joanne Calderwood. Perfect. Versus Carla Esparza, the former champion, on their way down, both wrestlers. That's when you got a real idea. It's like, no. Carla Esparza is a former collegiate wrestler. Carla Esparza has made real improvements through striking. She looked like she had very poor judgment in the Carla Esparza fight. Bad ring IQ, so to speak. And her two follow performances beyond that. The Poliana Botelho fight. I hear everybody say the same thing, just like you. This girl looked dead on the scale.
I thought they should cancel the fight.
Should probably cancel the fight. We'll talk about Aspen Ladd.
Here's a thing or two.
I had dead on the scale.
No interest in like rostering or playing like that spot.
My pick.
And then I watched that way in, switched everything, cost me a ton of money. Like it was just like, you know what? You overthink these things sometimes, and I did in that case for sure. For sure. I'm going to make a counter to that whole point, is that she submitted Poliana Botelho in the first round. Right? Yeah. What if she did, and it's late in the first round,
What if that got to a second round? What if it managed to get to a third round? Then she might have had some serious issues. And against Marina Rodriguez, she's not going to submit her in the first round. So yeah, if she looks bad on the scales, I expect Marina Rodriguez to push a pace for 3 rounds. She looks like she can push a pace. Her fight with Ronda Marcos, it was kind of a hectic pace. Her last fight with Tisha Torres, again, Tisha Torres, it's a sparring match, it's give and go, but Torres comes at you. Yeah, it's fast. It's a lot of output going on here. She's long, she's rangy, she can keep you at the end of the punches. Main thing is she's got to keep this fight standing. But I don't have enough faith in Cynthia Calvillo to come in with the game plan of consistently shoot takedowns. I think she's going to try to strike with her. And her being the shorter fighter, I think she's going to be coming up on the shorter end of said strikes. But there's no discrediting that she does have the full camp. She is prepared. I think Rodriguez has got to come down from Brazil for this fight, so there's some travel logistics there as well. It's a hard pass, but the pick is Rodriguez.
We got Ben Rothwell taking on Stefan Struve. Ben Rothwell minus 140, Stefan Struve plus 120. Both of these guys pretty much dust at this point. But who is more dust, Cody Saftic?
Who is more dust?
That is the real question. That's actually what I wanted our giveaway to be this week. But I thought, I guess Cody was like the voice of reason. Maybe it's a little unfair to refer to fighters as dust, but after recent performances from most of these guys, you can't feel great about either side of this. But like Rothwell was off for so long.
Off. Yeah, involuntarily off. 3 fucking years, man.
Yeah, and he's getting old, and obviously
getting old. He is old.
He needed his vitamins. He's a heavyweight. Everybody's like,
did he need his vitamins?
When you were talking about like
this guy never once to me looked like he was on anything. Probably was because he had great cardio for a big man. Yeah, because he had great cardio for a big guy.
Remember when he would like, get that crazy look in his eye?
Dude, he was becoming a fan favorite. Like he had a bit of momentum. He was he choked out Josh Barnett with a 10-figure guillotine choke. Like he was well on his way. Mm-hmm. And then Uncle Usada knocked on the door and ruined everything. And boy, oh boy, is he not look the same whatsoever. Stefan
Struve's just like a stand-up heavyweight. He's got a good ground game because of like his height and length and stuff like that. He has a pretty decent triangle choke, but like he's not gonna catch Ben Rothwell in that. I don't think, at least. He's just a guy who had like all of the tools, all the intangibles. He's still actually pretty young for being a heavyweight, despite having just so much experience. He just never learned how to like benefit from his God-given length. Like the guy doesn't know how to really throw a jab, or he doesn't know how to effectively use a jab. Keep guys away from him. There's no sting on like the majority of his punches. Well, I think I'm gonna go back to the well on Ben Rothwell here. Hopefully he's found some new vitamins. Maybe he's taking his strength and conditioning a little bit more seriously. You're not gonna be able to tell any of that from the weigh-ins. He's gonna look like a big old slob, but yeah. Rothwell's a pick. I just have no faith in Struve anymore. What about you?
Yeah. Well, you're in a very hard position here because you've got Ben Rothwell on a 3-fight losing streak who is 0-2 since his long absence and just does not look good at all. Versus Stefan Struve, actually won his last fight, surprisingly enough, and just has not looked the same whatsoever. So who do you go with? Like, neither guy you can have any real vote of confidence in. Both guys have let you down and are very much capable of letting you down again. But yeah, I mean, if styles make fights, Ben Rothwell's biggest issue is that he's no output. He sits there, fucks around a lot, but there's no actual substance, man. You got to do something. It's a prize fight. Not enough substance out of him. Andrei Arlovsky outworking you, standing there. Bad move. The Blagoy Ivanov fight, I thought he won only because I had money on him, but it was just like, Jesus Christ, man, what are you doing? Marches you down, doesn't do shit. Luckily for him, is like Stefan Struve just doesn't have the legs to move back, and like, yeah, he doesn't use his range. He's not a very mobile guy, and I don't know, he never used any of his gifts properly. But beyond that is that like his gift is also his curse, right? Because the two things about Stefan Struve is that one, and he's fought the who's of power punchers in this division. Well, yeah, maybe he's got a bit of a suspect chin. He has a suspect chin because he's so fucking tall, dude. Like, he literally stands straight up. They smash him with overhands. He just crumples to the ground. And again, he's fought a who's who of murderous power punchers. But the bigger than that is that, like, when he is on his back, could he throw up a triangle? Yeah, we've seen it. Could he throw up an armbar? I suppose. Does he have a crafty little ground game? Yeah, he won his last fight with an arm triangle. Prior to that, he has that fight, that Denis Stoichnich fight from way back in the day. got a crafty little submission game. But he's so big, if you get on top of him, he can't get back up.
Yeah,
He
like
can't-
Overeem, when Overeem just took him, like put him up,
Dude,
blasted him up
soccer
against the cage, took him down, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a couple strikes, and it was
Yeah,
it was
yeah. And
over.
he actually just football tackled him to the ground. Like there was no setup on the technique. It was just like
He's so tall, it's hard to defend these types of things.
Can't defend this shit.
No.
He's got a chance of defending up against the cage. Because he's so long, he can lean on the cage and just use that general length. It's hard to pick him up off his feet. But in the open field, like he's fair game. Anybody with a decent amount of wrestling takes him down, open field, he's fair game. That's always kind of been his issue. Now, is Ben Rothwell going to go shoot a double leg in the open field? No. So, bit of a problem. But I have enough faith that he's just going to back Stefan Struve up against the cage, control him against the cage, do a little bit more, use that dirty boxing, work the body a little bit, use his uppercuts in the clinch. And if, for whatever reason, he can complete the takedown, that'd be it, dude. He'll just stay on top of him, pound him away. I'm not 100% sure this fight is a finish. I mean, yes, Stefan Struve has a bit of a history of getting finished. Ben Rothwell, he's cast iron. Not fucking finishing this guy. Stefan Struve especially. I have a feeling it's going to hit the over. I have a feeling that the winner's going to pick up a decision. Definitely some value if you go in that direction. But I don't want to tell you straight up pass. What I'm telling you is like both these guys have shit in my apple pie before. And I'm not interested in adding them to the pie again. But yeah, I would have more faith in Ben Rothwell coming in here.
I just trust
140, not the worst.
in
price
these
tag.
types of situations. I don't know if you're the same, but I just kind of just trust durability. Give me the more durable guy, even if he's 40 points more. He's a minus 140 favorite. He's not, it's not a pick 'em, but just give me the more, especially at heavyweight. Just give me the more durable heavyweight historically, and that's Ben Rothwell.
Of course. And I think if you do the real tape study on it, right? If you just look at it on paper, it's like, oh yeah, Ben Rothwell, bad losing streak, and Stefan Struve. But Stefan Struve's the one coming off the win. When you look at that Marcos Rogerio de Lima fight, he got fucked up in that first round, dude. He gets dropped. He says afterwards he doesn't remember what the fuck happened. And then he retires, takes off his gloves, puts them in the middle of the ring, and says, I'm done here, guys. I did not enjoy that. And then 10 months later, all right, I'll do it one more time. Like that's not what you look to put your money behind. So Ben Rothwell's the pick.
The moment everybody has been waiting for. Cody's baby, Aspen Ladd, back in action after her first professional defeat. She is a minus 155 favorite against Yana Kunitskaya. What's your take here, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, can't go against my baby, but gotta be worried. I mean, when you're talking about like you don't really care about watching the weigh-ins all the time because sometimes it leads you in a bad judgment. It's like Aspen Ladd is not someone who just had a bad weight cut the last time. Aspen Ladd's someone who's had a bad weight cut throughout the entire course of her career. Like she used to fight at 125 and it was just unbelievably awful.
She just wouldn't
on her.
make it.
Yeah, no, would not make it. So she moves up to 135. And I remember this interview where they were like, oh, it's probably way easier now making 135. And she's like, no, it's actually harder now to make 135 because in moving up a weight class, I filled out, I put more muscle on, and now I'm even bigger. Now I'm cutting more weight. So now fighting at 35, I mean, she's still really young. And you're seeing it. It's like, I think it's a mixture of things. I think one, she is continuously getting bigger. She's a big, thick gal, 2 C's on that. But also, like, I don't think she's particularly good at cutting weight. Like, what's her background? She didn't wrestle in college. She has no idea how to cut weight. She starts fighting, she's young. She's just fighting at 125. Now she's growing, she can't make 25, so she fights at 35. Now she's growing, she can't make 35. They're gonna put her at 45. Like, I don't know who her nutrition is. If you look at any of her stuff online, she just does her own shit, Goes for hikes, preps her own meals. Mom's a total smoke show.
Yeah,
Totally
there we
smoke
go.
show. Those are class A genetics.
Pogi,
dog. Let me tell you
our
about
boy
that.
Pogi Rob put me in line with that, and then I ended up watching a couple of her hula hoop videos.
Yeah, unbelievable,
We'll leave
right?
that there. But yeah, her mom's total babe.
Yeah, the people are like, "Is that your sister?" And she's like, my sister. It's my mom." And
Everyone's like,
Yeah.
huge mistake.
Why would you tell people?
Why
that?
would you tell the internet this?
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're after you're done the show, obviously,
No, our kids are gonna look incredible.
maybe go check it out.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, yeah, I think she's got all the tools in the world to beat Yana Kunitskaya. It's a lot of different question marks surrounding her. And is she going to have another bad weight cut? I'm going to lean towards probably. And then you got to look at the physical skills here. I love the girl. Let's look at the physical skills here. She's a go-getter. She pushes a pace, but everything is raw. Everything is not clean technique. Her striking, she never moves her head The punches never come back straight to her chin. She does not protect herself. She's easily open there. Now, she's got great cardio. She pushes the pace. Even though she might be having a bad weight cut, there's no doubt she's a fighter. No doubt she has a heart. But that Sinara Eubanks fight, if you've seen the first fight in Invicta, it's like, oh, this is a young, growing Aspen lad versus Eubanks is already established. She's already won like a jiu-jitsu world championship. She's like 2-0 or something. She's supposed to be the thing. And it's just like, oh man, Aspen Ladd, she's a developing fighter. They meet 3-4 years later. It's like, it should be Aspen Ladd all day. And it's like, she seemingly like almost regressed. She just got clobbered at will against Eubanks. Thank God the judges side with her, give her the decision. But she didn't look good at all in that fight. It was mostly Eubanks gassing out seriously helped her. Now moving forward, I got to back her in her last fight. Okay, you know what? We got to go against Jermaine Durandamy. Jermaine Durandomy's fucking huge for the weight class. Bonafide, actually good striker.
Won a title at 145 against Holly Holm.
Punches are clean, down the pipe, crisp technique. That's all stuff that Aspen Ladd doesn't have. And I'm foolish because I thought Ladd, she's going to push her pace. She's going to push her up against the cage. She's going to eventually drag her to the mat. She's going to tire her. She's going to break her. But it's just like one single clean punch lands and you're in shit's creek.
It was sexist, Cody. It was sexist.
Yeah, that was the wackest shit. Poor Herb Dean. Imagine if he had to ref this shit again? He'd be like, listen, bitch, you're going to take a fucking beating this time. And before I stop it, after you brought me to the commission.
Yeah, based on, that whole situation was kind of, I think we talked about it on the show before. But it's just like,
I was disappointed.
I mean, everybody saw how sick you looked at the weigh-ins. So, like, the ref is going to just naturally he's in there to try to protect you.
Of course.
So when he sees you looking like you probably shouldn't fight the next day, he's going to look for the first opportunity where it looks like you're in trouble, and he's going to probably step in faster than he should have. But if she weighs in, looks great the day before, probably not the same situation.
For sure.
Like, he probably lets that go or lets her recover when she's on the ground.
I thought in that moment, there's no way this fight is going to go on tomorrow. Like, she looks so bad at the weigh-in. It looks like she's having a seizure. Like, her jaw is just like, clattering away 100 miles an hour. She's shaking. It's just like, oh my God, dude, she looks deathly ill. And then you're going to put her in there tomorrow versus a girl who's going to rehydrate back up to like 45, 46. Is a world-renowned striking specialist, defeated a man once upon a time, she's a world champion. Never defended the titles, totally paperweight champ.
Ran away from the title when they said you should fight Cyborg.
But all the same, it's like, this wasn't a tune-up fight against a nobody. It wasn't just like a local fight to get the local crowd pumped up. It's just like, this is a fight with actual ramifications towards it. I didn't think the fight should continue, and all the same, she lost. So even if she has a better weight cut here, I'm sure she's not going to look that bad. I'm sure she's going to make some adjustments. I'm sure she's going to come in more prepared. But all the same, it's like when you have a bad weight cut, your chin gets compromised. And yes, in that fight versus Jermaine Durandamy, she was done. Well, what would have happened if Herb didn't stop it? Jermaine would have just hit her 5 or 6 more times. Like, well, what was the outcome of that? Did she think she was going to recover, get back up, and win the fight? I didn't see it. But I think a lot of that was her being she took bigger shots, maybe not bigger shots. She took great shots against Eubanks and took them well. But the difference there is that it wasn't a bad weight cut. Now, again, you're getting older, you're getting bigger. Your brain, these weight cuts, they keep hitting you. I mean, she's compromising herself a little bit. And Kunitskaya is no joke. She spent a lot of time on Greg Jackson. She comes from a striking background. She has decent ground game on her own. I think Aspen Ladd wins this fight. I do. But she might be half compromised. 155.
I actually think we're getting value on her.
If she still comes out here and has a clean cut and as improves a showing of skills, but I don't want my love for my bebe to blind me of the fact that I'm not overly impressed when I'm watching her fight.
Yeah.
I'm horny, I'm not overly impressed, right? There's a difference. So, that ace, god damn.
I just think that what Kunitskaya does well, the issue I would be concerned about is Yana Kunitskaya is not going to throw anything back that's going to be stinging. It's not going to drop her or drop Aspen Ladd like Jermaine Durandamy did in one strike. Kunitskaya keeps a pretty high pace. She's been doing a lot of training at the UFC PI recently. You see her on on the Habib videos or whatever that one channel is. So she's an Ali guy. So I know,
Paul.
Conspiracy theorists would think that I would be all in on her, but I'm telling you guys, I'm just a Tony Martin guy these days. No, I think at minus 155, I mean, I think
That's where I would
based on
draw
what
my
happened,
line. That's the most I'd be willing to pay.
I think based on what we saw last time from her, I think it is very important. This is a spot where I think watching the weigh-ins is very important, based on the fact that she looked horrible and then went out there and fought horribly. But I think this line sticks around this price. Like, I think we're actually getting value here. I just don't think that Yana Kunitskaya has the skill set to really fend off the pressure that Aspen Ladd will bring to the fight. So I'm willing to jump back on at this price of minus 155 Aspen Ladd. Let's move on. We've got Song Yadong taking on Cody Stamman. Song Yadong is minus 200 favorite. Stamman plus 170. Big step up for Song Yadong. Training out of... a team alpha male with those guys. The one thing I think about this fight is think about a gym that is just loaded with guys like Cody Stamman.
Yeah,
We've talked about these types of things before. It was when who was it? When Andre Fili took on Dennis Bermudez. Same exact situation. You're like, you know what is littered with Dennis Bermudez's team alpha male. I liked the line a little bit before. I see some people, our boy Mike's MMA picks is on this at like minus 165 Song Yadong. I like that a lot more. It is a big step up. Stamman is no joke, but I think he'll be ready for this specific type of opponent. So the pick here is Song Yadong. What about you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you definitely make a great point. You mean Song Yadong has not only trained with Cody Stamman 10 times by now. It's like, yeah, when he beat Vince Morales, like Vince Morales is a poor man's Cody Stamman. Like, they all have that similar style. They're power wrestlers, decent striking. Cody Stamman is a lot more driven than those guys. He's a little bit cleaner with his grappling. His wrestling, not really as good as I think a lot of people think it is. But he's just got a way of winning, you know? He's in a lot of close fights where he'll just slightly outpoint you, do a little bit more than you, a little bit cleaner work, get the victory. I think the fight with Aljamain Sterling was a real eye-opener of like where this guy's limitations are at. He's 30 years old. He had a good standout regional show career before he came to the UFC. I just don't know that there's going to be enough out of Cody Stamman moving forward to really be world championship quality. Whereas Song Yadong, dude fucking 22 years old, 3-0 in the UFC, has looked awesome. And like looking good against, you know, Felipe Aranches and Vince Morales, but the Weasel, Alejandro Perez, this motherfucker not easy to look good against.
No, never.
Not easy to look good against. Right cross, folds this guy 2 minutes. It's like, everybody always talks about economics when they're talking about the Chinese taking over, but it's so much more than that. It's like their athletes are also going to eventually take over. Like, it's only a matter of time. They didn't know wrestling. They didn't know jiu-jitsu. They didn't know proper Western boxing and they know kickboxing. They know Sanchow. But it's like that next crop of Asian talent's definitely hitting now. And in the next 5-10 years, you're going to see, I think, a lot more of them crop up. And Song Yadong's that next wave, dude. He's one of those Enbo kids, meaning that like he was a child, dropped off to the gym, trained since he was a kid. He's got all the skills in the world. They brought in Western coaches. He knows what it's all about. And then as soon as they know, smart people, as soon as they know this guy's capped out, do we let him fight in China on the regional scene against guys that will just fly in and bums and do nothing for him? Or will we send him to alpha male in the States and he can train with the best guys and he can fight in the UFC and we'll build him up? And UFC knows that they need these Asian stars. They're willing to work with him and they're willing to build him up. And they're doing him a favor here. So Stamman loses his last fight and then actually he bails out of a fight with Rob Font with an injury. He's been off for 10 months. Again, I mentioned he's 30 years old. I got the guy on Facebook. Good guy, training hard, very driven. Truly believes he's one of the best in the world. Truly believes this is his coming out party. I'm getting the feeling it's the other way around.
Slide in those DMs
and be like, "What up, dog? You gonna win?" I fucking hate people that do that. As if they know. As if like, yeah, well, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. Like,
what do you think a fighter would say? What do you think a fighter's gonna say?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually gonna go in there and get absolutely shit kicked.
Yeah. Already Bob Sapp. You know, like,
you know what I mean?
No, if you thought even like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like, then you shouldn't be fighting. You know, these guys are, I've always said,
you have to be supremely confident to just get in there in front of all of those people and fight somebody in a cage. Come on.
I always say, dude, if you want to be a pro fighter, you have to be an optimist. You have to truly believe I'm going to win this fight. I'm one of the best in the world. I'm going to show everybody. If you're a pessimist, you'd be like, fuck that, dude. I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm not fighting. If you're a realist, you'd be like, fuck that, dude. I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm not fighting. But you got to be an optimist and be like, I'm all in on this. I love this shit. And I truly believe that Cody Stamman, very athletic. If you look at his family, brothers, sisters, all compete, all wrestle, all do, sports in high school, college, whatnot. Good athletic family. Yeah, they're gamers. He's been a gamer his whole career. But when you get him in there, there's that lack of killer instinct. There's more of just, he's more of a point fight style, right? And that wins, right? That can get a victory. But when you run into somebody who's got more of the appeal of like, this guy's got skills everywhere. Yadong can stuff takedowns. And on the feet, he's got great output. He's got good cardio. He's making improvements. He's getting better and better. He's got a bunch of teammates on this card. Like, it's written for you to get it. Now, the one thing I'll admit though, 160, 170, 185, that was the price, but it has ballooned out to 200. So like, I like them.
Seems about right.
I like them,
but
you're either going to want to get on it right now, or you've missed the boat. But it's right around that time where it's like, don't take him at 230, 240. Cody Stamman, no joke.
Exactly.
No joke. No walkover opponent. Knows how to win. Good ring IQ. That's all shit that'll fuck you up. It will shit in your apple pie. Let me tell you.
This could be an apple pie parlay. This is a parlay
but at 160,
killer right
yeah,
here,
160, you hop on that bitch for sure.
Yeah. All right. We got Rob Font taking on Ricky Simon. Rob Font minus 140. Ricky Simon plus 120. Maybe I'm just like, overwhelmed by recency bias, but like Ricky Simon's pretty much dead to me at this point, Cody.
Yeah. I hear
Go
you.
in there.
That was a big apple pie shit
against Uriah Faber. Retired Uriah Faber. Looked like he was completely done. You're supposed to go in there. You've taken on Muradov. Like you've fought against top end guys, and just to eat that overhand right off the bat. So for a guy who I thought was just like, this guy's going to be a really good point fighter. It's just like everything went out the window. I have zero faith in this guy anymore. Rob Font, the issue I've always had with him in the past is he doesn't really seem like he's able to fight well off of his back foot. But like those guys in Boston right now are, him, Qatar, a bunch of those other guys. Like it's a pretty decent gym.
Yeah, dude,
all the way around. They're putting out some, those guys are improving well. You can tell that they're putting in the extra time. Pick is fun here. I realize I've been picking all of the favorites here, but these lines have been out for a while. They've really matured. I think the lines are pretty much right here. I like Font to get the dub here. What about you?
Yeah, no, I gotta agree as well. I think that the line's pretty appropriate. Minus 140, Rob Font. Both guys are capable of winning. Ricky Simon's got all the skills in the world to win this fight. It's like you mentioned. How does he beat Rob Font? Push him backwards. And Ricky Simon, at his best, is a fucking shit-eating wild man. He'll go in there, push a pace. He's able to back you up. He's got great wrestling. His striking, I'm not a huge fan of it. But he's willing to wing those shots to close that distance and put you into his area. When we talk about ring IQ, it's like that fight versus Ronnie Yaya. Fought a great game plan that I'm going to take this guy down, but not fuck around with his guard. Stay on the outside. Do what I got to do. Get the victory. But this is one thing dating back right from Ricky Simon, right from the get-go, is that he cost me one time. It was a Titan FC fight, right? He takes on, I just want to, my thing's all fucked up here. But anyways, yeah, he was taking on Anderson Dos Santos, right? Who eventually made it to the UFC, wasn't all that good. The fight with Anderson Dos Santos, he's like a 3-1 favorite or something like that. You could actually bet it's a Titan FC fight. I'm on a Ricky Simon. He got hit clean, flush, and he just flops down. He's big time hurt. In being hurt, he ends up giving up his back. He gets caught with the rear naked choke. Young guy, got caught, no big deal. Builds himself up. But when you look at the guys he was fighting, Paul, he wasn't really fighting anybody that hit him, anybody that hurt him, anybody that put him in any type of danger. When he fought Faber, it was way out of my mind. I'm not thinking this guy's got a chin issue. I think he's fine. The Faber thing was almost the same situation. He just got hit clean with one shot, and he folds on over. And then Faber pounces on him. He's able to force the stoppage. That's my problem here with Rob Font. Rob Font does have power. 7 knockout victories on his record. With last fight, Sergio
Almeida.
He's knocked out good guys, and he's shown that he knows these guys want to push me back and take me down. He's worked on it a lot. His whole camp's on a roll right now. These guys are making improvements, and they're actually cross-training it with a bunch of different guys on that East Coast. And again, I like what they're doing over there. But if he's just able to intercept Ricky Simon, even just for a moment, clip him with one clean shot down the middle, he's going to hurt him. And the way Ricky Simon moves and the way he throws his punches, there's a lot of openings and nothing's clean. Rob Font's clean down the pipe striking. So I think at some point he's going to clip him. At some point he's going to hurt him. At some point he capitalizes.
And again, Rob Font, like that guy was able to take Lineker's punches.
Yeah.
Durability hasn't really been an issue for this guy.
Too. Yeah, exactly. And Ricky Simon's also a bit of a decision guy. And where that's an issue is that Ricky Simon's a decision guy, and let's say Rob Font capable of being a decision guy, then we think this might go 15. If it goes 15, it's favoring Rob Font because he's got 15 minutes to intercept this guy and knock him out. And if Ricky Simon does get him down and he's able to take him down, I got to think Font's ground game good enough just to survive, but he's got to get up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say pass again on this fight because I see path for Ricky Simon, but I when I visualize the fight, I think he's going to get tagged. When he gets tagged, Font's got enough firepower to hurt him. When we do talk about the DK side of things, it's like, you know what I mean? Font at 8,500, he's a slightly high mid-range guy, but good upside.
Cool. We got Tim the Dirty Bird Means taking on Thiago Alves. Dirty Bird is minus 265. Alves can be had for plus 225. Who you got here, Cody?
Yeah, this is the crazy thing about MMA, right? So let's say we all wake up tomorrow. This is a prelim fight, right? Let's say we all wake up tomorrow and the UFC announces that Alistair Overeem versus Rozenstruik is off.
So then Marina Rodriguez versus Cynthia Calvillo becomes the main event.
There's no chance. It'd be Thiago Alves versus Tim Means. And you know they're not going Struve and Rothwell 5.
Yeah.
You know they ain't going
There's been
Struve,
like
Rothwell
7.
5.
There's been like 6, 7 maybe. There's like 6 or 7 fizzled bouts on this thing. Like this was supposed to be, ESPN.
This is a good fight.
It was supposed to be ESPN 7. Like it was supposed to be pretty solid. Like a lot of fights dropped off of it. So, that's just the way things are in 2019 MMA. It's just like the roster's not as deep as it used to be. You have to call up a bunch of people. But yeah, these are 2 tried, tested, and true veterans of the sport. You know what? They probably would end up being the main event.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I think if you look at the casual standpoint of it and be like, oh, you know what? We're going to put Rothwell and Struve on the card because, people know them. It's like, I don't know. To what extent, dude? That's the old demographic of fans know them. These guys, way past their prime, not going to put on a good fight. Not likely going to put on a great fight. But you're putting it on, it's got a decent billing on the main card. Whereas I get the whole feature prelim argument, which is not a real argument anymore as far as I'm concerned. But in terms of Means versus Alves, yeah, they're both past their prime too. But it's going to be a good fight, no doubt about it. It might not be a good fight for Thiago Alves. I don't know realistically what more he can offer. But if he's going to win a fight at this stage in his career, he's just got to catch a guy who makes one mistake.
Yeah, like
and Tim Means is going to lose
or something
a fight.
like that.
Tim Means is going to lose a fight.
Crush his liver.
He's going to be kicking your ass and then at some point make some type of slip or mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I got some concerns with Tim Means. I mean, his last fight was really the first time he had been clean, KO'd, knocked out. On top of that, he completely wrecked his knee in being knocked out. But Nico Price has got the death touch, man. Like, I don't know what it is. So I'm not going to... Thiago Alves 2007. Thiago Alves 2006. Yeah, he had the death touch too. While in his knees, those leg kicks, never really in his hands. But this is like, dude, times have changed altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Now he stands on the outside and he gets absolutely chewed up. He's got a really bad history of fighting tall, rangy guys. His fight with Max Griffin should have lost. I don't know if they give him that fight. But that's the only one high point in his last number of fights. Millender, tall, rangy guy. Keeps him on the outside, knocks him out with the knee. Griffin, I don't know how he won that fight. Tall, rangy guy, kept him on the outside, beat him up. Staropoli, not a tall, rangy guy, just more output. Doubles him up, triples him up, beats him in his own backyard on a clean decision. Like, they couldn't even rob this guy. He just does not look the same. The fight with Jordan Mean, yeah, you're right. That was a lucky body kick. He was getting life-changing beating before turning that around, that body kick against a tall, rangy guy from the outside. That's just not, he's not good with that. Means is way more technical with the striking. Will stay on the outside, will bop him. Could Alves switch up the game plan, try to take him down? Could. Is a black belt. Oh, I don't know that that's part of the game plan. And Means is no joke of a wrestler either. The problem is that, I hate saying this Tim Means, because he's just, the man, and he just goes in and he puts it on you. It's like, if he puts it on you and it doesn't go his way, he does kind of fold up. And Alves has shown, if anything, he can still take a hell of a beating. So I think Means wrecks him. I think 265 is not a great price. But yeah, he should score high on DK and he should win this fight. This is not in Brazil. He's not going to get a Sergio Moraes screw job decision. He's looked infinitely better in his last few performances comparatively. And even the Nico Price fight, he was looking good until he got caught. So yeah, I got to think that the Dirty Bird pulls this one off and gets one in the win column.
We got your boy. You put me on to him for his Contender Series fight. Billy Quarantillo taking on Jacob Kilburn, who comes in relatively short notice. Quarantillo is minus 320. Kilburn a plus 260. I forget the name of the opponent that he had on the Contender Series, Kamala Harris or something like that.
Yeah.
I know that's obviously not, but
No.
I forget what it was, but
Kamula Kirk.
Kamula Kirk.
Yeah, how did we get him for?
Well, it was like plus 230, man. It's like these Contender Series
Yeah.
fights. You just spam a bunch of underdogs. Like that was the key, at least to this season. Well, you faded the Greek and you found these. There's just monster underdogs just cashing left, right, and center. Like it was.
Your guy,
they're just low level guys. Now they're expecting us to pay a minus 320 price tag on him. So you were the guy who told me, like, dude. They're like, as long as we can get through round one, Quarantillo is going to come back. And it literally played out perfectly. So I want to hear your take on Jacob Kilburn, Quarantillo. Let me know what we're doing here. Is this price too big? What's the scoop?
Yeah, well, I obviously didn't love the price tag, but it's because of the short notice aspect of it. Billy Quarantillo was he was originally supposed to take on Chris Fishgold, which, poses some good problems. And Fishgold, exciting matchup.
Yep.
And, not the greatest fighter, but still going to be an intriguing fight. At least our boy Billy got the full camp here. And now with Jacob Kilburn coming in relatively short notice, he would be the underdog against Billy anyways. I think Billy's last performance really... This is the one thing that kind of he showed his hand. Remember Tristan Connolly? We were talking about the Tristan Connolly fight, and I was like, the one thing people don't know about Tristan Connolly is this fucking gas tank on the guy. He just doesn't get tired, right? And because he's taking on a guy that he's just going to physically break, it plays towards his favor. But now people know about that gas tank. You cap this guy going forward. Imagine getting Tristan Connolly in his next fight at 260. You'd be like, yeah,
exactly.
People want him at that. But they know his gift now. Right? That was the thing with Billy. Billy got an infinite gas tank. He just didn't get tired, right? And he was on The Ultimate Fighter. I was well aware of this guy. He actually fought a friend of mine, Adrian Velaka, beat Velaka. He's got a bright future. I mean, he's still young. He's improving. I know guys that have trained with him, and they come back. They train with a bunch of good guys. It's just like, oh, you got any stories? And it's like they're talking about him. This guy's the real deal. This guy's supposed to go somewhere. So now he comes in against Kamala Kirk. It's just like, I don't know, man. Kirk's got a suspect gas tank, and what's going to happen is Billy's a bit of a slow starter. Billy will probably lose the first. I told you that. I was like, if we just survive the first round, we'll be okay. He got beat up in the first round. He lost the first round. The second round was a 10-8 round. He beat the shit out of him so bad. Like, Billy don't get tired. And in the third round, it's going to be a 10-8 round until the doctor or the refs eventually like, I got to do something
this
about
guy's
this
toast.
shit. Yeah, stops it, right? So Jacob Kilburn's Contender Series fight, he got tired, man. He got really tired. 7-8 minutes into the fight. So it's got the same thing written here. Billy, who has a good gas tank regardless, has a full camp, right?
But
Taking
they're
on a
making
guy,
us pay minus 320 is the problem.
they've capped it appropriately, right? I mean, they know Billy's got the superior skill set. He's got the path to victory. He's not the short notice opponent. Yeah, I see all the reasons why Billy should win. Now, is this the opportunity to fade him? No, he's my guy. I like him. But yeah, we've taken a lot of favorites here. At some points, like which one of these guys... When I got to do my Poke Raw parlay at the end, like I might have to switch and at least take a couple dogs. I'm not going to go full shot of favorites here. But some of those passes are going to have to become dog plays.
Moving on down the card, probably I think this is like sneaky fight of the night potential here between your boy, Matt Sayles, taking on Bryce Mitchell. Thug Nasty. Sayles minus 120, Mitchell plus 100. I've been historically pretty wrong on Bryce Mitchell. I think I have a better grasp of him now. Guy has very, very good cardio. And he's just the guy almost chopped his damn nuts off. Like, the guy's a grinder.
Yeah.
He puts in, he's got a hellacious gas tank, tons of heart. That is like, I think his heart is the real key to him. Matt Sayles, I believe, is the more technical, more skilled fighter in this spot completely. But I've lost some money fading Bryce. Do you think Matt Sayles is able to get to him early, or do you think Bryce Mitchell kind of pulls it off later in this fight? I think this fight is a great opportunity for live betting opportunities because Sayles is going to come out pretty hot. We've seen him slow down a lot before in the past though as well. Mitchell is going to be consistent, kind of keep coming forward. So honestly, I'm going to lean on the gas tank in this spot, but I think it's a close fight. But Bryce Mitchell will be the pick for the purposes of this show.
Yeah. I can tell you ahead of time that this will be my personal apple pie shitter because I'm going to go Sayles. And I know I can see how he's going to fuck me on this. But yeah, like I just, when you, the more you look at it, the more tape you look at it, it's like, how is Sayles going to blow this other than he makes a lapse in judgment and the ground game becomes a factor. But the kids have got it all. And I've been a Matt Sayles fan for a long time. He's got two things going against him, right? One, he does not fight the proper weight class, tiny for any weight class. And also, thing number two, he's a real slow starter. Just give you the first round. Comes in his UFC debut, that's part of the problem against Shaman Marias. Gives him the first round.
Hell of a tough first matchup, though.
Gives him the second round. In the third round, it's like, oh, time to start fighting. And he beats Shaman Marias up clean to lose a unanimous decision on the basis of you gave up the first 2 rounds. But I know the skill there. This guy's Dominic Cruz's boy. Everybody at Lions loves Matt Sayles. This guy's got a bright future. I'm not deterred by, yes, you're right. Tough matchup, Shaman Marias. And he kicked his ass in the third round. That means something. Still young. You're going to be okay. I'm all in on this guy against Kyle Nelson. All in on this guy against Kyle Nelson. And despite the fact that he's a slow starter, he completely rearranges Kyle Nelson in the first round. In the second round, he appears to tire. The second round, he gets taken down. The second round, he gives up his back. In the second round, he damn near almost gets rear naked choked. And then the round ends. And then in the third round, 1-1. He didn't find a second gear. He just, Kyle Nelson was that much more tired than him. And
Bryce is not going to tire like that.
No, Bryce is not going to tire like that. So yeah, Matt Sayles is kind of a slow starter to begin with, right? So I can't bank on him winning any first round. He won against Nelson. I can't bank on him winning a first round. Whereas Bryce Mitchell could win the first round. Now the second round, Sayles does what Sayles does, baby. And he puts it on him. Sure, doesn't matter. The third round, when the nitty gets tough, yeah, Bryce Mitchell's going to keep coming at him, and Matt Sayles could potentially have a bit of an issue. People are talking about the wrestling, right? I don't know that Bryce Mitchell's wrestling is good enough to take down Matt Sayles. Matt Sayles' takedown defense, okay. Maybe keeps it standing. Kyle Nelson's bigger and stronger than Bryce Mitchell. He was able to plow him down, but maybe Bryce doesn't have that same success. As far as the stand-up goes, Bryce Mitchell's fucked here, man. Matt Sayles is going to eat him alive.
I agree.
If you look at Bryce Mitchell on The Ultimate Fighter, man, he is young and he is green. And this guy trains small little gym. You know, yeah, he's one of those Jason Knights. Like, he's scrappy, he's a go-getter. He's fought way more times outside of the cage that he has inside of the cage.
Spent a lot of time with the Sarah Longo guys as well, though.
Yeah, and he's improving his ground game, right? He fights Tyler Diamond and Bobby Moffett. Those are his 2 wins in the UFC. How those guys compare to a guy like Matt Sayles, it's going to be different. But, again, both close fights. It's that Tyler Diamond fight. He wins Tyler Diamond. They give him the microphone. And all I can make out, he's like, yeehaw, Arkansas! Arkansas! Yeehaw! I was like, scrappy, fun, exciting, jovial kid, go-getter. His undefeated record, it 10-0, because you don't see that fact that Brad Katona choked him out on The Ultimate Fighter. Matt Sayles, better than Brad Katona, stuffs the takedowns, beats him up standing. I gotta have faith that he shored up the cardio enough to win 2 and win this thing 29-28. But give me a Lions kid from California versus Arkansas, McArkansas. Sorry, that's no shout out to Mr. Arkansas. I actually love the videos. No disrespect to him, because I'm sure after that Arkansas bit, he'd be pissed off. All jokes aside, I got to once again go Matt Sayles. However, I'm going to play Matt Sayles. I'm going to bet Matt Sayles. Sayles is going to juice up some parlays. And Sayles will probably be the guy at the end of the night that I'm like, fucking motherfucker, why would I do that? So don't necessarily tail me on that. But if you're thinking about doing it, yeah, that's the side I'm on. I'm rolling it.
We got Joe Solecki taking on Matt Wiman. Solecki minus 320. Wiman plus 260. Wiman came back after, 4 years off in his last time out. And you know what he looked like? A guy who took
10 years off.
a guy who looked like he had 10 years off. Solecki, on the other hand, on the Contender Series, and maybe this is like a low bar that I'm kind of setting for it, but he looked like a guy who deserves to fight in the UFC, which, with the Contender Series guys that they've been rolling in and stuff, there's a lot of them that you're like, sure, they won their Contender Series fight, but they didn't really seem to have it all together. This guy looks super, super well-rounded. I totally understand the line here, but it's really tough with a guy with that little experience to get on board at minus 320. The price, I'm basically just getting priced out. The pick is Solecki here, I do believe. Matt Wiman is dust.
Yeah, Matt Wiman, it makes almost no sense how a guy disappears off the face of the earth in 2014 after a win over Isaac Valley Flag, who's now getting jobbed out in bare knuckle boxing matches. This guy fell off completely, in the prime of his career, 31 years old. And to resurface at 36, strange on its own. To resurface 5 years later at 36 in the UFC, also strange. To resurface 5 years later in the UFC against Luis Pena, like, man, whose wife did you fuck? Who'd you piss off? Why would they bring you? And the guy's name's Handsome Matt Wiman, so you can't discredit that greasy theory altogether. Like, why would they give you Luis Pena? Like, why don't you fight Joe Lozon or something?
I mean, they probably forgot that they even had him on, the roster.
See, that's why I don't understand. Typically, if you don't fight with, if you're a big name guy, which no offense to Matt Wiman, he just never was. I always liked him, very exciting. But his best claim, that's so disrespectful. Anyways, his real claim to fame is when Spencer Fisher fucking blasted him with that flying knee in the face. Bam. Anyways, I like Matt Wiman. I think Brass likes Matt Wiman. Fans to a certain extent, they like Matt Wiman. He fought that era's big names, Dennis Seaver, TJ Grant, those guys. You know what I mean? It's an era thing, but typically if you're not that big name and they're not like, it's Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz, they're not going to let him go out of his contract because he hasn't fought in 5 years because if he wants to come back, we're going to make that money. Matt Wiman's not like that. So typically they'll let you go after 3-4 years because it's like, you can still use their medical policy. Like you can still use the UFC's medical insurance and all that stuff because you're under contract, even if you haven't fought. So a lot of guys won't fight and they'll just try to stay under contract as long as they can. I know guys stay under contract 3-4 years as long as they can, use it up. And then eventually the UFC cuts you. Why they never cut Matt Wiman, I don't understand. So now that would suggest they like Matt Wiman. So to bring him back against a guy that's 10 years younger than him, right? That's a developing prospect, considered a hot-ish prospect, out of a gym like AKA, as your official return bout after 5 years, it makes no sense to fight Violent Bob Ross. It makes no sense. Now your follow-up act to that. Oh yeah, by the way, Matt Wiman at his best takes you down, holds you down, gets on top, slick grappler, decent ground and pound, holds you down, does his work. That's him at his best. Not a great striker. But that was his skill set. That was his major skill set. Violent Bob Ross is 6'4", not very long and lanky for the weight class. Wrestling, developing, but not his primary skill set. He took down and just smoked Matt Wiman. So Wyman's wrestling was good for the time period. And by the way, his wrestling was good against Paul Sass, Mac Danzig, Cole Miller.
I mean, Paul Sass literally let you take him down.
The Sass angle.
So you could try to get the Sass angle. That was his entire game.
He was a one-trick pony. Mac Danzig, black belt, but could not wrestle whatsoever. Cole Miller, also a black belt, but we all know Cole Miller can't wrestle whatsoever. And then his other wins like Thiago Tavares, Justin Buchholz, Michihiro Omagawa, Brian Gegarty. None of these guys are holding on a job anymore. It was just a different time. He was a good wrestler comparatively to those guys, but not comparatively to what's going on. Right.
It's so much. Right. The game's just moved on.
Of course, okay. And you know who is a good wrestler? Joe Solecki. He actually is a good wrestler. And he showed that in his Contender Series fight. He's got the chops to get these guys down. When he gets them down, he's got a good opportunistic submission game. He's not going to submit Matt Wiman, I don't think. And he doesn't have the ground and pound that Bob Ross has to finish him with TKO. But I think he just grinds through the motions. Again, he's a much younger.
Kind of like his Contender Series fight.
Yeah.
And I dominated pretty much the entirety of the fight.
I couldn't tell you why they're doing this to Matt Wiman. Because Matt Wiman,
he's probably got a couple of fights left on his deal. They're probably contractually obligated. Well, maybe not. They like him for some reason.
Clearly they don't.
Maybe just. They're giving him fights though. They could just release them. They don't.
Yeah, that's fair. And they're saying, hey, despite you being a longtime servant of our organization, a longtime veteran of the sport of mixed martial arts, we're giving you a guy making his UFC debut. Theoretically, they're doing this guy a favor. But it's just like anything. It's like that Solecki kid might have a bright future. He's developing. He comes from a good camp. He's got some good skill set. He's young. He's good looking. Maybe this kid can have a run here. Whereas Matt Wiman, it's like 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Those are all the years you sat on the sideline, and now you're going to make a late run back. You know who they said was going to...
Yeah, these types of things don't work. They don't work at lighter weight classes.
The craziest thing, right? I'm walking down the street. This is how weird I am. Walking down the street literally 3-4 days ago. Bam! Right in my mind. Out of nowhere. What the fuck happened to Nate Marquardt? Wonder what that guy's up to. Man, it's so sad. Someday I'll
blaming God on Twitter recently.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. I'm thinking... You know how whack it's going to be someday? I'm going to talk to people and be like, yo, I remember Nate Marquardt? And they'll be like, no. It's generation's changing, man. Like, he wasn't a big enough figure to stick in the history books, but he was the man, dude. I liked him. And then I was like, oh, dude, he's actually the poster boy for you get hit so many times that Jesus is literally in the ring with you. You ever seen the movie Bad to the Bone with Antonio Banderas, Woody Harrelson, where it's like they're like mid-card boxers, they're buddies, they got to fight each other because they need the money and they got to travel to Vegas together to fight, blah, blah, blah. Woody Harrelson been hit so many times, got so much CTE that he sees Jesus in the ring with her. Oliver McCall one time cried in the middle of the ring. Paulo Filo against Chael Sonnen, 2 motherfuckers talking to an invisible person in the ring. That is Nate Marquardt. And literally, as I'm thinking all this shit to myself and shake it off and then go home, 3 days later, he's like, Jesus, talk to me, I'm coming back. I was like, oh my God, man. Like, what the hell is going on here? I hope Matt Wyman is not that. I hope he didn't just wake up one day and was like, I miss this shit. I want to do it again.
I mean, this is going to happen to a lot of our favorite fighters from that. Like, we're just getting into that territory now. There's going to be some sad stories in the next, from the guy, you know, I've been watching this since, I guess I was in university when I first started watching like private videos and stuff. Yeah. So, no, it was even before that.
Well, then you're before me, yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, so I've been watching for about just under 15 years now.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys, the Diego Sanchez's, guys that I have enjoyed for all these years, like, I think we actually, when we worked at Fight Network together, it was Frank Shamrock. Or no, it was Ken Shamrock that showed up at the office, and he was kind of talking about like all of the things that there's going to be a lot of guys that get in trouble with the law, and a lot of CTE related issues are going to kind of start happening. And I think we're starting to see the beginning of it.
Yeah. Here's what
like all of these guys that you've really, when you first got into the sport, they're getting to that age now where their mind's going to start leaving them.
Here's one for you. So we're going to find out, one of my first tasks, got to cut through these reels. So we got reels for individual fighters, and they're like, save some space, go through the reels, cut what's good, cut what's bad, whatever. I got a Carlo Prater reel. I love Carlo Prater, WEC vet, MFC vet, brief little UFC run. I got a Carlo Prater reel. They're asking me to delete shit that they think, what's not important. I like Prater, but this might not be important. So I ask. I won't name his name. I ask. I says, shit, you want me to get rid of this Carlo Prater reel? He says, no. Do you think Carlo Prater in 10 years might wake up and fucking kill a bunch of people and, you know, be some huge story and we might need that footage? And I was like, shit, the goddamn, he's an MMA fighter, of course. Guy's got 50 fights.
This is in the range of outcomes, yes.
Hermes Franca was my guy. I had to disown him. You know, that's some fucked up shit. Mm-hmm. But, like, you don't know Mike Whitehead, like, man, what's going on? His, you know, I'm not going to say justifiable. There's like two sides of it. Really fucked up all the same. But Don Fry, his IFL coach, looked me in the eyes and said, Mike Whitehead, dead to me. Don Fry saying you're dead to him, you're also dead to me. So even though you're my tough 2 boy, dead to me. Anyways, all that aside, yeah, you don't know
Josh
these
Neer,
guys.
didn't he do something really messed up?
No, he beat up that fan.
He beat up a fan.
That is not Josh Neer, still my boy, always gonna be my boy. The dentist, the real dentist. Take that, Darren Stewart.
Ooh,
oh yeah,
shots fired.
No, I mean Josh Neer is so crazy he'd fight him and get fucked up, but he got a win over Anthony Smith like 4 or 5 years ago. Fought him like 3 weight classes up. Josh Neer is the gangster, but yeah, he just beat up a heckler. I don't think there's any problem with that. Listen, we all know Twitter, greatest, but it's a platform where you can talk shit to a pro. That's not ballsy. Showing up to fight said pro, ballsy. But if you're going to talk shit to him and show up and he fucks you up like that, isn't that game? Isn't that part of it? Why would you talk shit to Josh Neer? Ridiculous.
Unless you're looking.
Ridiculous.
I would, yeah. You talk all that shit. You do not show up.
You do not show up
to confront a professional fighter. These are like just people with like absolute grandiose delusions, though.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Anybody who, I think it's kind of, I don't know. I've always had Twitter and it's been my real name on it, my real identity. People know who I am and that type of thing. So I've never really understood the whole full out troll side of things because
bitch.
Well, because my name's attached to it. So it's like I am, when I'm posting things, I'm posting as myself. Like it's kind of embarrassing if I was to go after like fighters all the time and just, talk shit and stuff like that. But like All right, there's talking shit, and then there's just being really, really dumb and showing up to get your ass kicked. Like,
yeah, like that.
I don't know how,
whatever.
but I remember seeing the video. I can't recall like how big this guy was.
Huge. It was
Okay,
huge, and
it doesn't
that was
matter.
part of it, right? I remember one
Sure.
time I'm watching. It's a crucifix position, right? But he's in crucifix, and he's eating some elbows. This guy at the bar looks at me, says, "How much does that guy on top weigh?" I says, "It's welterweight, so they weighed in at 170 yesterday, but he
Probably like 185.
yeah,
now
but
or so.
but I tell the guy like, he could weigh as much as 190."
Sure.
So he says, "Why doesn't the other guy just pick him up like a bench press, toss him off?" Guy's like, "I'm that guy's size. I bench press 240. I just fucking pick him up
Yeah.
and chuck him off."
Super easy, eh?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
imagine you
just like
believe that.
clockwork.
Imagine you believe that. You went to a motherfucking gym. You told Josh Neer, who's fucked,
No.
put me in a
Who's
crucifix.
not above beating the shit out of you.
Yeah. You know what's gonna happen when you're trying to bench press him and he's shattering your face with elbows? Yeah, he's just gonna keep shattering your face with
You're
elbows.
going to a dentist.
Yeah. That's why they call him the dentist. You know, like this guy's legendary. If
teeth
you're like
are
a
done.
fan of like the OGs who like did the dirty work in the game to just for entertainment, it's like this guy's as gangster as it gets. Like, don't fuck with him and show up at his gym in Iowa. Like, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? He's got nothing better to do than kick your fucking ass and probably base some hail afterwards.
Yep. There's
I wouldn't mess
literally
with
nothing else to do in Iowa but fight.
I watched a training thing with him one time. He's in a shed, pounding the fuck out of a bag. And whereas most guys, I'd be like, "Oh man, like why would you bet this guy?" It's like he's ready. You know, he's fought so much he doesn't need a traditional training camp. Oh yeah, I could talk about Neer all day long, but we got a few more fights.
We
so
have
we'll
a
get to
couple
that.
more fights. Let's get into them. We have Virna Jandiroba taking on Mallory Martin, who comes in on a short notice. Jandiroba minus 265 favorite. Mallory Martin is plus 225. Who you got here?
Yeah, I want to get behind Mallory Martin just because she is a sizable dog here. I see the narrative behind her. I think she could potentially get a victory, but if you're just going to look for tape for what tape is, Virna Jandiroba is a better grappler, right? She's a slightly better striker. So if both of their grappling for whatever reason negates each other, I think she wins. And if this turns out to a grappling match, she's the better grappler, slightly better wrestler. Now, I think this thing on Mallory Martin, somebody who's saying that she's Darren Wynn's girlfriend, and she spends a lot of time with George Hickman up in Tiger Muay Thai. Hickman was a good wrestler himself. They got her well prepared, but A, she's coming in a short notice. B, I wasn't overly impressed with what I saw from her Contender Series fight. And C, she's taking on somebody who is not taking a fight on short notice after winning a make-believe contract on a remotely successful TV show. It's like she was the Invicta champ, you know? She beat Mizuki Inoue. You know, she legitimately defended the title against a Russian Sambo champion who has looked awful. But, you know, submitted her all the same. Like, this girl is making strides. She's looking okay. To debut on short notice against Carla Esparza, that's a tough task. But she's got that experience under her belt. And hopefully she's, you know, made enough improvements. I think, truthfully, just from watching it, she's better overall. But is she nearly 3-1 better overall? That I don't think so. So I want to say dog or pass, but I can feel myself chasing the dog. So the smart play is going to be the pass. Jandiroba on a better price, I'd play her. I think she's going to win. But 265, I'm looking at apple pie shitters here. If you're looking, we like a lot of favorites.
Yeah.
So let's now determine who's going to shit in the pie.
I
'Cause
mean,
you know 2 or 3 of them are going to lose.
I mean, the
the
opening
riskiest?
fight of the night, I
This is
think,
bad.
has like big apple pie. Like, people hate Trevor Smith, but like the guy's pretty well rounded. You got to be able to shut his lights out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, he's got pretty good wrestling. He's not good at anything. He's not great. Sorry, he's a professional fighter. He's good at other things.
black
But I
belt.
mean, it's all
Good-
relative.
Good cardio.
I just, from what I saw from Makhmud Muradov, and I bet him in play live after round 1 against Alessio Di Chirico. He ended up pulling it off and he won decision. I didn't see very much stinging shots coming back from him. I don't know. I wasn't exactly impressed all around with the guy. And now you're telling me he's a minus 420 favorite and a much more experienced guy who's been in there with some really, really top flight guys in Trevor Smith. Now he loses to those top end guys, but I don't think Muradov doesn't have to what I know about him. His grappling isn't like anything special. He's more of a striker. I don't see very much power on those strikes. Like, I think I'm probably going to end up regretting it, but I'll probably end up taking a shot on on Trevor Smith here at this price. I just think the price is just stupid. What about you?
Yeah. Honestly, Makhmud Muradov, I tape studied him big before his debut. I backed him against Chirico, but even you listen back to that show, it's like, he's not that good, man. He's Mayweather's bodyguard. And I said it then, I'll say it again. You look at Mayweather's bodyguard, mostly big juiced up, weightlifting white guys, not really all that intimidating unless you're a middle-aged suburban house mom. But this guy, he's intimidating, man. He's 6'3", fucking like from Uzbekistan. I watched a very interesting video, Paul, and it was showing different ways to approach getting robbed. The guy comes up, he says, "This is scenario number 1." Guy comes up, he says, "Give me your money." Regular guy, just like me or you, and he says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but here's my money." The guy gets robbed. Video number 2, same scenario. Guy's like, "Give me your money." Guy puts on a Russian accent, and he's like, "Duh, you want my money?" And all of a sudden, the robber's like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to fucking go through with this anymore. Something's fucking off. I'm gonna get out of here." That's having Makhmud Muradov with you. You gonna try to rob Mayweather with this guy there? I don't know, man. I'd be rethinking that situation altogether.
He probably
Looks like he may have killed him, man.
part of his having that job probably has to do with maybe his proclivity to use weapons.
Yeah, also, I would think that he's the only guy in the entourage that actually knows how to fight. I mean, they can form Voltron or whatever the hell he did against McGregor, but like outside of that, like this dude's actually got 35 pro MMA fights.
Sure.
Well-rounded, can strike, can submit, takedown defense is actually pretty okay. He looks really bad in his losses. Mind you, he's fought some okay guys. His wins, remember we were talking about Song Yadong? You could leave a guy in one jurisdiction and allow him just to fight tailor-made opponents that you bring in. And we see this all the time with these, Sergey Pavlovich and all these, Ivan Shidrakov and all those guys, right? How good are they, right? Like the opponents are tailor-made to them. He's had that. He's had a lot of guys. It's like, you're going to beat this opponent. Now, Chirico, no joke. Mid-pack guy, very, very medium, but still, you know what? He's durable. He's going to give you at least some type of a task. Beating him, it's something. His gas tank didn't look good. Win the first 2, not overly impressed. Third round.
I was sweating.
Third round.
When we went to decision.
I hear you. And I had him. But right from the get-go, I didn't love this guy. Now in the third round, you're sweating it. Are we going to get a decision? We get a decision. Okay, pumped up. We're good. Now he's taking on Trevor Smith. Well, he's the one coming in a short notice. Trevor Smith originally had, just to make sure I get this 100% here, Trevor Smith was taking on Alonzo Menafield. Alonzo Menafield is Trevor Smith's nightmare.
We are aware of what you were trying to do in this spot.
Yeah.
Like Menafield that's a guy with murderous power punching.
Who's
and it's a
bomb
bad
on you
matchup
early.
for Trevor Smith because you'd probably bomb on him early and get him out of there for sure.
He'd bomb on him early.
If he was in this spot and he was 9,400 minus 420 favorite, I'd be like, okay, what's his round 1 prop? And I would be like, let's play him on DraftKings.
But and that's where Muradov could have a problem here, is that he's not the murderous power punching Alonzo Menafield is, and he's coming in on short notice. He's already shown to not have great gas tanks. So Trevor Smith just doesn't get knocked out early. Yeah, Trevor Smith keeps going.
I think he's just live at this price. I just think he's live.
Yeah. So there's no world that exists that I'm betting Trevor Smith, but this is a live betting opportunity for sure. The price is totally off. I'd pass Muradov. 420 literally gets anybody. I love the price. It's 420. Ha ha ha. But yeah, just not a good price tag in this spot. Now this is one of the things I've always found unbelievably interesting about Trevor Smith. Unbelievably interesting. These are his losses, right? First career loss, knockout, Devin Cole, 31 seconds, right? Jean Vellante, 1 minute and 5 seconds. Ed Herman, he went to decision. Talis Latis, 45 seconds. Kyle Magalesh, 31 seconds.
If we can get through a minute, baby.
Andrew Sanchez, Theodorou, and Zach Cummings, all decision. Like, so mind-blowing that this guy either gets knocked out. He's been knocked out in a minute or less. A minute or 5 seconds or less. 5 fucking times. All the other losses outside of 2 guillotine choke losses way back in the day. Decision. Is he chinny or not? Like, you either punch him out with the first few punches or you allow him to hang around. But you know what? Honestly, outside of the fact that he's a BJJ black belt, his wrestling's not great. His cardio is okay. His striking's not great. He lost to Zach Cummings and Elias Theodorou's last 2 fights. Wins over Chris Camozzi, cut. Joe Gigliotti, never won a fight in the UFC, caught, totally fanned out and retired, I think. Dan Miller, it was just supposed to be a feel-good story bringing back Dan Miller for that fight because he was already long gone by that point. It's like, those are his wins, right? So I'm not falsely trying to talk myself into a Trevor Smith bet, but just know, if it turns out, for whatever reason, that Makhmud Muradov is the apple pie shit of this week, I'm not going to be affected by it because I'm half sniffing that shit out to begin with.
There we go. All right, well, he's the most expensive guy on DraftKings, so let's get into that quick little breakdown here. I mean, I think we kind of just summed it up. I think it's very, very hard to pay up for a $9,400 Makhmud Muradov.
Well, let's look at.
But I mean, but he's taking on an opponent. Maybe he does clip him, and if he does clip him, it's probably going to be in the first minute or so. He'll clip him early and get a first round finish. Like, obviously,
Trevor
that's
Smith's
still
also
in play.
Trevor Smith's also 38 years old and hasn't fought in a year, right? So, like, he was going down to fight Alonzo Mennefield for a very specific reason, Paul. Yeah. Alonzo Mennefield needed the win and was going to largely benefit from getting a highlight reel first round KO. Muradov should have that same benefit, but I trust him less. Looking at those high-end guys, listen, that main event, 100%. Alistair Overeem's $8,300, so he would be a well-priced, good pick.
Yeah.
Flip side to that, if you're going with Rozenstruik, it's the same thing. It's like he would be a good pick. He's $7,900, and he could get you a first-round knockout.
I can see a path to this fight, like, not being on an optimal. Like, if these guys just get out of round one, if the fight doesn't get finished in round one, and it's just low volume, and there's a second-round finish, maybe they end up with, say, 75, 80 points because just low volume, and then, Jairzinho clips him eventually. At that price, like at 7,900, the thing is that they're right in the middle range. Like, it's not a horrible play, but I can definitely see past that. Like, neither one of them really pays off, still gets a finish in like the second or third round because there is potential for just such low volume in between all of that.
Yeah, if you're playing multiple lineups, maybe you fade them because everybody's going to be on this matchup. So maybe if you're
playing 150 lineups, you're going to have some without this fight.
Maybe Overeem stays to the outside the first two rounds, throws nothing, attempts no takedowns, but runs away, scores nothing. Rozenstruik also scores nothing. Third round, Overeem takes him down and submits him. It wouldn't score you all that much. No. It wouldn't score you the 83, which is still a good price tag. The Rozenstruik 79 would be a total fucking bust because he might have landed 10 strikes. Mm-hmm. We all have an assumption if he lands a strike, he's going to knock out Overeem, but it's going to take a good strike. At least you're going to have to chase this guy down. So, listen, I'm thinking you play Overeem here at $8,300.
Same here.
But I hear what you're saying. Marina Rodriguez versus Cynthia Calvillo, I think you take a pass on that. Rodriguez could keep her on the end of the strikes, but without the takedowns, without the ground transitions, without the knockdowns, without 100 significant strikes plus, it's not going to be worth it for you.
The more interesting person from a DraftKings perspective is Calvillo there, because if she's winning, maybe it's wrestling, but we have been kind of questioned her own cardio before in the past. So that is, maybe she gets early takedowns, but if she starts gassing out in round 3, I mean, at least I'm always looking for a lot of underdogs and stuff that are, at least you would think, with a rational game plan, rational mindset. And we know that a lot of times when we get fighters inside of a cage, rationality goes right out the window. But rationally, Cynthia Calvillo should be trying to look for takedowns. So 7,800, I think she's in play. I don't think I'm going to go there, though.
One thing that I'll throw on top of all that is that someone like Cynthia Calvillo is smart enough to know, not ring IQ smart, but smart enough to know if she wins the first round, if she wins the second round, she knows it was a tough weight cut. She knows she's up 2 rounds. Foot comes off the gas. This is not someone that searches for the finish. You're playing a big GPP. You want the win. You want someone who's going for points every step of the way. 5 seconds left on the clock, shoot a takedown. Dana don't like it. I do, Get me my 5 points. Get me my point. Grind this. Have a dominating performance. Rodriguez is a game opponent. She sticks with it. The interesting play would probably, like you said, the $7,800 on Calvillo, but I think personally, my standpoint, I would take a pass on that. Rothwell versus Stefan Struve. Struve, I don't see anything there. He's not knocking out Rothwell. He's not submitting Rothwell. He's not taking down Rothwell. So what's he going to do? Score 40 or 50 significant strikes?
Ben Rothwell first round finish or bust. He's a tournament play.
Yeah, and Rothwell just is so slow these days. It's like, man, he used to be mobile for a heavyweight. That was kind of his thing. And nowadays he's very plodding and he's not pulling the trigger. So again, you might want to think about a pass, but if you're going to play any side of it, it's going to have to be Rothwell. And for $8,600, theoretically, it could pay off pretty good for you. Aspen Ladd versus Kunitskaya. Aspen Ladd has proven to be an excellent scorer when she has things her way. She gets on top of you, sounds like a tennis match, baby. And she will just go relentless with the ground and pound. That's her way to score some points. Having a drawn-out striking battle, grinding up against the cage, doing that kind of game, not going to score up to the 8,700. Could she take Kunitskaya down and absolutely throttle her? Could. I got a lot of reserves myself. I think it's possible. I think that, like you mentioned, 155, at the end of the night, we might end up saying, geez, what a good price on Aspen Ladd 55. You won't get that again, or at least not right away. That could be a reflection of the 8,700. She could easily score 87 points, but she's got to have things her way. And I'm slightly hesitant. Part of me is just like not overly ready to
DraftKings, I am pretty
full on.
hesitant as well.
Song Yadong at 8,900 against other opponents. Yeah, I'm in on that. The problem is that Stamman's got a good chin and he's defensively sound and knows how to just slow down rounds. So Song Yadong at 89 just knocked out Perez. He's got an ability to knock out guys. He's got an ability to score big. Stamman's going to slow down the action. I want other people to play Song Yadong for 8,900. I'm going to look to fade that.
The Vegas odds on it, like the inside the distance prop on that fight, is actually pretty reasonable. It's close to a pick 'em, I believe. Yadong has been able to absolutely flatline a bunch of people, so he's obviously in play, but sounds like you would you said you'd want other people to play him.
Yeah, I would like other people to take the play. Now,
I agree with you on the take
and we're gonna talk about we got a lot of favorites and where we're gonna save the money. I'm not looking at Stamman necessarily for a GPP play, but for the $7,300 on DraftKings, fuck man, get me some takedowns. I know it's gonna be hard, but here's the thing with Song Yadong. If he does get taken down, he's gonna get back up. That working with alpha male will allow him to just get to the cage, work his way back up. But at least Stamman can score some points. Stamman can strike. Stamman can get some transitions. He's not that bad of a grappler. You could do worse. $7,300 just to save a bit of money on a cash game side of things. I could be talked into it. Moving on, Rob Font versus Ricky Simon. I can't fault you for taking another side. I'm going to go Rob Font. You're going to go Rob Font. Sounds like we're on Rob Font.
Yep.
$8,500. I think he knocks out Ricky Simon. I think he catches him. I think he hurts him. I think he capitalizes. I truly believe Rob Font has a good take here. But I'd be lying if I didn't say Ricky Simon's at least one of the dogs I'm acknowledging has a chance.
Of course. He's plus 100, plus 120 underdog.
But I don't like backing guys that have chin problems against people who chin check, right? And Rob Font has shown me enough that this is a warrior. He sticks in the fight and he's got good firepower. Ricky Simon, twice now, I've been burned by that chin. I'm not readily willing to jump into it, even though he's a decent price tag. Tim Means versus Thiago Alves. I got Means all day. $9,000 on DraftKings. Sign me up. $265. I'd like a better price, but so is life. Billy Quarantillo, same thing. I mean, $9,200. He got a great gas tank. Here's the cool part here, right? Everybody wants Overeem or Rozenstruik. People are going to be going after Ladd. She's popular. People are going after Song Yadong. He's coming off a big win. People are going after Rob Font. They know that stuff. Tim Means, I can see it too, but Means and Billy, I got a feeling they could be on the lower end of ownership, and they got high upside here too. Fair. Neither guy's likely to really make we love wrestlers. We love grapplers. We love guys that have those ground transitions. Neither guy's likely to get their points based on that, but
they just push out. They're going to try to push a pace against an opponent that they hope is going to slow down. And then, man, they obviously don't do DraftKings scoring for the Contender Series, but you know who would have scored a beaucoup de points?
Oh, yeah.
Quarantillo against Kamala Harris there.
What's the only thing better than a first round knockout is a third round sustained beating. But there's a third round finish with 10 seconds left.
It's like the Volkanovski effect.
Just draw it out as long as you can. And then just right at the last moment, it's like,
yeah, those are the guys that put up like 150 points is when that plays out that way.
Yeah, Tim Means, it seems like if he's going to finish Alves, he's probably going to have to do it in the first, under 1.5 rounds. If it goes over 1.5 rounds, it'll be Alves with his nose over to the left, one eye swelling shut. That's sitting there and taking the shots. Maybe that one goes to decision, but Tim Means will put it on him. Billy's fight, at some point, Billy probably just breaks him down and puts him away. That's barring that he's not sick or hurt or injured or anything like that. The fact that he's got the full camp, I love that. I think Billy puts it away. The 9,200, much better reflection than the minus 320. 320, it's like, fuck, man, we just got this guy for 2.5 to 1 as an underdog, and now we're going to play 3.5. No way. But the 9,200, it's like Styles make fights. He's got the style to score you a lot of points. That's part of the fight. You want that. Solecki versus Matt Wiman. I think he goes Solecki, but
you skipped over Sayles.
Oh, fuck, I did too. Sorry, man. Woof.
I'm a coward.
Yeah. No, I am a coward because Sayles is not going to have the takedowns on Bryce Mitchell. He's not going to have any ground transition. All of those points, if they're going to be scored, you know what? I'm taking Sayles. I got money line Sayles. I got Sayles. I'll tell you, because I'm an honest person, the play would be Bryce Mitchell as far as DraftKings goes. It's $200 cheaper. He's $8,000. He's likely going to stay in the fight for the 15 minutes. And again, even if he's taking Sayles down and Sayles pops back up, and this kid's tenacious and he stays on him and he takes his back and Sayles shakes him off and they're back standing and he rushes forward, he's going to score points. And I mean, for the 8,000, he's a lower mid-range play guy who's got upside. I've got to acknowledge what dogs, we've got all favorites. Which dogs likely have the best shots at cashing? I see Ricky Simon as a possible one. I see Cody Stamman, and I really don't want to go down that road. I'm gonna.
Well, we got,
and I'm gonna go with Bryce Mitchell, even though it's plus 100. And fuck, I'd hate to say
those
Joe
other
Smith.
fights.
You know what? This is a dice card.
Like those are the most expensive. The next three ones. So we have Solecki, Jandiroba, and Muradov, all very expensive, all over 9,000. That's pretty dicey. I guess Solecki...
Jandiroba I like of the best of the three. The reason being...
Solecki seems the safest. Jandiroba maybe has the higher ceiling just with like the early finish. Like, I don't think Solecki's going to submit Matt Wiman.
Yeah.
As we kind of alluded to earlier.
Well, from highest to lowest though, Muradov, $9,400. He either knocks him out in a minute or it's going to be dragged out 3 rounds and won't score him a whole lot. So let's pass on that one. The second most expensive is Joe Solecki. Joe Solecki gets you the takedown. You're happy. But Matt Wiman's a black belt, and he's savvy enough on the ground that he's not going to get submitted. So what are you going to have is you're going to have Solecki on top, holding him down, out-grappling him, holding him down. If Solecki had awesome ground and pound, he'd score you, but he doesn't have awesome ground and pound. He's a positionally sound grappler with good top game. So he's not going to score you a whole lot. Now you have your third option. She's your cheapest option is Jandiroba. She's got decent grappling. She's got decent submission game. She could potentially take Mallory Martin into the second or third round and submit her. She's got the higher upside. She's the cheaper price. Of those, I'd like that.
But you still like Means and Quarantillo better than Verna.
Means is yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So we kind of flushed out the $9,000 range. That's what we're looking to do here.
Yeah. Well, I want to give you a $9,200 player, a $7,200 player, a $7,300 player. Where it's like, this is our dog. Now we can put in some of our expensive play. But fuck, man, this is a card that they priced bang on. You know what? I'll tell you. This is might as well give you a greasy theory, Paul. Greasy theory. This is to the UFC's advantage, right? They roll a card out every week. Odds aren't out, so they scramble. So then they put the odds out 10 days out of the card, right? And
the odds go out like 2 months in advance now. Like these, by the time we sit around to talk about them, they've been out 4 months
for sure. Well, not the whole card, but yeah, they've got an idea.
They've been getting a lot faster at it. We used to have to wait when we did our show back in the day. We would have to wait. Like there were plenty of Mondays where like we used to record on Mondays. And there was plenty of times where it's just like, well, the odds aren't even out. We can't talk about the fight card if there's nothing out. Like it's pretty much always out by Monday. It's usually they like releasing them during like a card that's going on because they know that all of the guys that like to attack those early lines, they're all watching because they have money bet on it. So it's like, watch, they'll release whatever. The next one's a pay-per-view, but then whatever the other card after that is, they'll release like a bunch of those lines like during this thing on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Savvy move.
I'm saying because there's been a 2-week gap, people have had a lot of time to prepare for this card. It's priced accordingly, man.
Yeah, I agree.
The favorites are the actual favorites.
And the coin flips look like legitimate coin flips.
But that's the thing. The coin flips look like legitimate coin flips, and there's a good amount of coin flips on this. Yep. So I would love to say
spots to make money, but
dog or pass, but they fuck you because the dogs are plus 100, plus 120, plus 110. It's like
not enough meat on the bone.
No, that's not. It's not a full-fledged, like, you don't feel good about your dog play. You know, you want that plus money. You don't mind giving up a couple advantages here and there when you're getting plus money, but you want to be giving up sizable or at least, you know, readily available to see issues and holes in your fighter's game when you're not getting that good of a price tag. But it's priced right. I got a good feeling about it, but it's priced right.
All right. Hit us with the PRP and we'll be on our way.
Yeah, this is going to be an ugly one. We're going to go with Alistair Overeem. Bam. We're going to take Marina Rodriguez. Bam. We're going to go with Ben Rothwell. We're going to take Aspen Ladd. We're going to take Song Yadong. We're going to take I really want to go Rob Font, but just the more I'm thinking about, I have no dogs. It's like maybe I should take Ricky.
Because you want a dog doesn't mean
I
that
know,
you have
I
to
know.
pick
That's
them in this
dog.
spot.
Dog chasing's bad. Dog chasing's bad. We're gonna go Tim Means. We're gonna go Billy for sure. Matt Sayles, bitch. Let's do it. Joe Solecki, Verna Jandiroba, Makhmud Muradov. I've hit 3 perfect cards in my life, right? And one of them was a 12-fight card, 11 favorites, and 1 dog. But it's like, you got to have that one dog. So,
Bryce Mitchell.
yeah, I got it written down. It's Bryce Mitchell or Ricky Simon. Who else
This
might...
is the PRP.
who might-
You know who Pogi Rob's favorite fighter is, and who I think he did tell me that he is buying a Thug Nasty t-shirt should he win on Saturday night. Pogi Rob.
Wow. There you go. I'm
gonna throw $10 on.
If you watch his season of
absurdity.
The Ultimate Fighter, he's got to remember they got Okukubo.
I can always hedge out that main event too. It's like, come on, you can if you get to that point.
Get
To that
No, I'm
point,
outta
like
here.
you are hedging.
I'm
out.
outta here.
You are hedging out fully at that point.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
you got to get there, obviously.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just throw this in right there. I thought, because it's Pogi Rob, if we need to get a dog in there, word on the street is Pogi Rob doesn't like the dirty bird. So maybe he should take Thiago Alves, and there you go. There's your dog. But I think Tim Means pulls it off.
Nobody understands that reference.
No, but you did, and maybe he did, and he listens. So,
Oh yeah, he listens.
yeah, okay. All jokes aside, one of the dogs is going to come through. It's up to who you like. But yeah, the last thing on Bryce Mitchell is when he's on The Ultimate Fighter, he's Okukubo's on the season. Okukubo don't speak English, right? And so they're like sitting there, and I remember he's just like in Arkansas. He's like, you ever eat squirrel? He's like, we shoot him out of a tree, bang. He's like, it's real good. I was like, yeah, the guy
walks through.
He's got markability written all over him. He could be a big star, but it's like he's got to show up and show real skills. And this is a tough fight. Matt Sayles is not a walker.
He walks through like cow shit to get to the gym, man.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. He's like he's got personality. He's got a fun story. He's a fun fighter. But just like Jason Knight, who has all that shit, Jason Knight couldn't capitalize on an elite level. So he goes to bare knuckle boxing, a little sideshow, and he's the man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fighting 2 guys at once in a bathroom stall. He's the man. But he's fighting in the octagon. It's like, dude, that's Ricardo Lamas standing in front of you. This is not a weekend at the fucking local bar and grill. I don't know. I don't know. So anyways, leave you with that. Back in action.
What you're saying is that Jason Knight and
have to fight at some
and Bryce
point.
Mitchell are the kind of guys that you're seeing at about 12:30 a.m. fighting at your local Buffalo Wild Wings.
I watched a guy one time win an amateur
They're the
fight.
guy. I thought this was America.
Yeah,
Isn't this America?
I saw a hillbilly kid one time win an amateur fight in Rochester, New York, right? Come 4 hours across, party, 2 a.m, wearing the title that he just won an amateur fight, ends up fighting some drunk local guy at the party, submits him with a fucking Kimura triangle, was sick, in the bag drunk, while wearing a title on. It's like, you don't see that shit unless you're at hillbilly stuff, man. Like, it just doesn't happen otherwise. And yeah, man, you can't. Here's the thing that's become of the sport, Paul, right? It used to be, this guy's a martial artist. He knows Taekwondo. He knows karate. He knows this stuff. Then it turns out that didn't really get you prepared for a real fight. It's like, okay, well, this guy can wrestle. But then it got to a period like you have to be a fighter. You have to have that desire. These guys fight 50, 60 times a year. You know who's not an athlete? Jeremy Horn. You know who's a fighter? Jeremy Horn. This guy fucking fought 35 times in 1 year, mostly at house parties, because he likes to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So now the sport's gotten to a period of time where it's like it is athletes. There's less fighters. There's more athletes. These guys are collegiate wrestlers, or they're coming from some great pedigree, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whatever it may be, track and field. They're taking their conditioning seriously. They're doing all these things, but that little element, it's just like the grinder, the enforcer in hockey getting phased out. It's still there a little bit. There are still fighters there. This motherfucker is a fighter, and when you're a fighter and you've got a good gas tank and you push a mad pace, you're going to win fights. And Matt Sayles, maybe Matt Sayles' gas tank lets him off a little bit. Maybe the ground game hurts him a little bit. I don't want to think about it because I got Sayles. But it's like, yeah, I got to fully on recognize that Bryce Mitchell's got shot as a dog.
Cody Saftic, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ Saftic. You can follow me, Paul Shaughnessy, at Paul Shag. For Cody, I am Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.
That man was experience! Experience!